Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. It is Wednesday, November 19th, 7 p.m. Ellie Lynn, can you help me with roll call, please?
Mr. Andreessen.
Hello.
Mrs. Briscoe. Here. Mr. Bush. Here. Mrs. McMillan. Here. Mrs. Ost. Here. Mrs. Tunney. Here. Mrs. Zielinski. Here.
Okay, please stand for pledge.
Spotlight, we have 7 students who are part of our Advanced Learners ELA programming with us tonight. We have a group of 2nd graders who will be doing a reader's theater for us, and we have 2 6th graders who will be performing their TED Talks that they wrote and performed in class as well. These students have been doing an excellent job in their extension units within the classroom, and the teachers, Mrs. Matt, Mr. Vroom, are here as well tonight, have just done a phenomenal job in planning these extensions and carrying them out in their classroom for advanced ELA students. So we're really excited, even though we're only a quarter of the way into the school year, into our programming model, to have these students out tonight to show you an example of some of the work they've been doing with our newly revised advanced learner programming. So we will start with 2nd grade. So I'll introduce Mrs. Matt, who, come on up, will talk about the project that they were working on in class, and the students will join her.
Okay, thank you so much for having us here tonight. We are going to showcase for you a reader's theater. Our first module of reading focuses on schools and especially problems around the world off to class. They focus on different communities that had trouble getting their kids to school and how they solved the problem. And as part of our core curriculum, there's a reader's theater provided that the kids perform. So we challenged them to write their own reader's theater. They read about one of the schools not included in our curriculum. It was a cave school in China where there was no electricity. No teachers wanted to go there because it was literally in a cave. And they had to figure out how to get education to the kids. So their job was to write a reader's theater that would explain to you the problem and the solution. And I will stop talking because you don't really want to hear from me. You want to hear from them. Go ahead. Take it away, narrator.
What are the years from the book off the class edited by Cora, Nor, Josie, Gracie, Kate? There is only one teacher. You can barely learn. Breaking news. In a cave jungle in China, there's going to be no teachers, so students can't learn. Please help. Oh no, I should help them. Let's provide free electricity while we're at it. Let's give them food for a fire, guys. Let's go. Hey, what are you doing? While they were talking to the kids, she got the learning materials. We can learn better because more teachers are here. Breaking news again. There are more teachers coming to the cave. Celebrate. Hooray. I helped the people in the cave. That's all I ever wanted to do. People gave learning materials to the cave. Now they can learn better. Hooray. I can read and write. Now school is so fun. New teachers are showing up. Now everybody in the cave can learn. Everybody, go learn. That's how we solve the problem.
And then next we'll have Mr. Vroom come up. He made the TED Talk on YouTube as authentic as possible with a red carpet for the students. I had the privilege of being a guest of honor in their class to watch the TED Talk. Well, so it was as authentic as possible. So we have our 2 students come on up. And then Mr. Vroom will give us an overview of the project.
Well, we are through Unit 1 into Unit 2, but for our big end of the unit activity, we decided that we were going to do a TED Talk. We decided to combine all the Common Core standards for the literature plus the speaking. Now, imagine standing in front of all your peers, having to do this. It was a knee-knocking experience, but these guys knocked it out of the park. It was after reading A Long Walk to Water, a story about a boy who was in the middle of the 1985 Sudanese war and had to survive getting to water, as well as a parallel story of a 2008 girl who was from a rival tribe that fought together, fought against each other. And so the question was, what is the theme that is going on, and how can we make real life connections? And these two gentlemen are going to share it with you.
Thank you. Hello. So imagine that you're thirsty one day. You just walk up to your fridge and grab a glass of water. But 17 years ago in southern Sudan, it was different. I mean, sure, they didn't really have refrigerators at the time. They were very uncommon, but that's different. Take a look at these pictures. All of these kids have no clean water to drink. Naya faces a similar problem in A Long Walk to Water, where she spends all morning walking to a pond to fetch water for her family, and then walks back home. And the worst part is that the water isn't even clean. She does this 7 days a week for almost an entire year. She spends almost all day walking to the ponds and back, walking to the ponds and back. Salva, the other character in this book, also had great struggles. One day, everything was taken from him. His home, his shelter, his home, his family, his shelter. He had to walk all the way across this country to get to a refugee camp. And the worst part of his story is that he had to do it alone. The people who were closest to him, his uncle and his best friend Mariel, had died along the way. Salva and Naya had to walk far, and even then, life wasn't easy. But they kept walking. That's the important part. Even if his uncle was gone, he still made a lasting impact on Salva with one simple thing he said. Do you see that group of bushes? You only need to walk as far as those bushes. What he had said affected Salva's entire journey. It was a way to keep going, even during tough times. Just take one step, one moment, one day at a time. Even years after when Salva grew up, he still says this to himself. He just takes it one day at a time. There's this scene in chapter 11 when Salva reflects on what happened to the people closest to him throughout the journey. He says to himself, but there was no doubt. Beneath this terrible sadness, he felt stronger. Sometimes negative moments can cause positive growth, and even if they weren't there, they would have wanted him to survive, to finish the trip, to keep moving forward. Salva's perseverance reminds me of a quote from the movie Meet the Robinsons. Not sure if you've seen it, it's pretty good, but around here, however, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward. That's Salva. He makes time for grief short and keeps walking. He doesn't sit around crying. He knows that they would have wanted him to finish the journey, and he does. He reaches the refugee camp in the town and stays there for 6 years until it closes. But even after his safety disappeared, he still keeps going. He led the refugees to Kenya, where they all started over again. They kept walking. They kept moving forward. But it isn't just a story. The real Salva grew up and went to America. He chased his dreams and started a company called Water for South Sudan. And Like the name says, he gave water to South Sudan. He's helped over 500,000 people and has built 60 wells since 2005. Yet still, 1 out of every 10 people don't have access to clean water. So like Naya, they have to spend all morning walking to the pond to fetch water for her family, while for us, it's just a 30-second trip to our fridge. He's helped thousands of people, and while it may have been hard, he kept going, and he'll continue to keep going to help as many people as he can. So I have a small challenge for you all. I want you all to keep moving forward, no matter what it is. If you face setbacks, overcome them. If you face problems, solve them. And most importantly, if people push you down, pull yourself back up. That's how Salva reached the refugee camp. That's how he gave water to his country. That's how he made his uncle proud. We might not be able to save an entire country, but we can be like Salva and stay persistent. So even if you've forgotten anything else I've said today, like me, wait, what was I talking about again? Oh yeah, just remember this one thing: keep moving forward. Thank you.
Gotta make it more authentic, you know. There we go. Here's your moving forward.
Okay. You're a kid, reading books, watching the news, or hearing from your family about all the world's problems, and you wonder, what can I do, and who can fix this? In the book A Long Walk to Water, a young boy named Salva is forced from his village by a war and left wondering, who can help me, and who will fix this? Both you and Salva are looking for a leader, but how do you recognize the right type of leader to follow? In the book A Long Walk to Water, a young boy named Salva Linda Sue Park tells us the story of how a leader is made. She starts the story with Salva as a child, looking for someone to look up to as a leader. Salva recognizes his uncle as a great leader. Linda Sue Park details this in Chapter 6 by describing, Uncle is seen by the group as a kind of leader. His uncle could have just fed himself in Salva, but instead he shows compassion and feeds others as well. When Salva grows into a teenager, he and the other refugees are forced out of Ethiopia, and he starts to lead. Salva decides to walk to a refugee camp, and by the end of the first day, he is a leader of about 1,500 boys. As an adult, he is still a leader, but now mimics his uncle's compassion for others. He drills wells not only for his own people, but other tribes that were normally considered enemies too. Linda Sue Park shows this from Naya's point of view in Chapter 18 by saying, he has drilled many wells for his own people. This year, he has decided to drill for the Nuer as well. Even though people like Salva are drilling wells, to this day, not everyone has access to clean water. Without access to clean water, people can get severe diseases like diarrhea or typhoid, causing them to miss school or even die. For example, people in Toraplangan had to walk a mile each way through the jungle on a mountain to get water twice a day, and the water wasn't even safe to drink. Each person, including kids, had to carry a jug that weighed up to 40 pounds apiece. Did you notice I said had to? That's because today they only have to walk 10 feet to fresh, clean water. Why, you might ask? Because of kids like you and adults watching YouTube videos. Jimmy Donaldson, aka Mr. Beast, is the most popular YouTuber on the planet with around 450 million subscribers on his main channel. Once he achieved the goal of becoming a popular YouTuber, he decided to use his fame to help others and started a new channel called Beast Philanthropy. Just like Salva raised money to drill wells, Mr. Beast figured out that people could raise money by simply watching his videos. His channel raised money to drill in 100 wells in Africa. The one in Toraplangan was one of them. The next time you watch a YouTube video, consider watching Beast Philanthropy to raise money and awareness for a cause. My challenge to you is not to worry about when you will become a leader or what you will do when you are that leader. Instead, focus on finding current leaders who set good examples. Don't let popularity or entertainment stray you from finding the right leaders. Find someone who you like, that is a leader, shows compassion for others, remember what they do, and model it when you'll eventually become the leader. Thank you. It's Mr. Beast.
Well, thank you so much to our second graders and our sixth graders who came out. One of the things I forgot to add with the sixth grade class in particular, because I was in there for their presentations, the most cool thing happened as the students continued to present over the 2 days. They ended up making signs for each other. They were cheering for each other, knowing that this was a new task for them to have this memorized and get in front of their peers. And just the classroom environment and the culture that the students had together, cheering each other on, was like amazing to see. So thank you, Mr. Broom, for cultivating that, and to the students for being there for each other and being positive and supporting one another through that. So, and it was really cool to see that each student kind of took something different away from the book as well, and what they were able to connect that to. So we will have all 7 of our students come back up because we have a little gift for you in appreciation for coming out tonight. So if you wouldn't mind coming back up, we'll also take a couple pictures of all the students together as well with their teacher and our board president.
You did such a good job. Yep. I was pretty sure about like 100%.
All right. So you kind of put it in my yeah. Look over here first, and then we'll
I understand. I'll do a nice little introduction regarding Kay, and then I think you have something to say about her because she's not able to join us tonight.
Yep.
Okay, I'll just give it a minute.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then I've got a few words about Dr. Johnson.
Yeah.
And then a few words about those people on D. Who are those people? Oh, those school board members.
I was hiding that one. I didn't see that. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing the name right. I believe it's Ullman. Correct. Is that right?
Yep. I just checked with Kelly.
Well, I did too, and I was figuring if Kelly said that, you said that, then I know I was right. Now we both know she was right.
Kelly keeps me straight. Which direction am I going, Kelly?
blow my nose while he was talking, but I was like, oh my God, it was terrible.
Well, it's that time of year, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I was sick a few days before the finance committee meeting. This is still residual. It's just a cough I can't get rid of. It's a year-long cough.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's fine. Okay. Oh. She'll be back in a second. You're probably saying goodbye. Oh, she's right over there talking with you.
Yeah. I think she has too many stickers on her computer. That's what's messing it up. Stickers. There's too many stickers. Yeah, that's what's. I like this one. One step at a time.
That's a fun sticker, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why exactly what I said. I knew the mic was on. I could see it. I hope they had a lot of fun watching that later.
You're fine, Anna.
Hey,
You're fine.
sometimes there's tech issues. It can happen. Okay. I think we're ready to keep moving. Okay, so we like sharing nice things around here. We had an amazing member of our community serving our district for the last 40 years. Kay Oman has been working as a crossing guard for our district, helping protect our kids every day. And although she cannot join us tonight, we do have a very nice plaque that we will be giving her. And Bob has a few nice things to share about that. So go ahead.
40 years is a long time. 1985 is when Kay started with us, and she has been keeping our kids safe for that many years. It's really, really impressive. We tried to make it clear with Kay when we spoke to her that she's invited to every single board meeting. So at any point, if she wants to come by, Kelly Lynn said she would drop off the award, but we just so appreciate all that she's given to the community. We had.
Well, that's very kind of her. We're sorry you couldn't join us tonight, but we did want to say something nice. So thank you for your service. Thank you.
All right. Next on the list is actually Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson is going to say this award is not about her, but we know she spearheads a lot of our communication, if not the vast majority. And we are so excited to share that Dr. Johnson and the Mokena School District was awarded by the the Illinois chapter of the National School Public Relations Association. Dr. Shaw went with her to the ceremony, the luncheon. And I think the thing that they brought back, which was so profound, is just about everybody, if not everybody they interacted with, was a communications specialist for their district. That was the only thing they did. So this award is based off of our communications, our strategic plan, but Dr. Johnson is doing this on top of everything else she's already doing. We are just so happy that she's helping us out this way and representing Mokena and the district. So we got a little thing that we had actually gotten from INSPRA for Dr. Johnson and the district. We want to take a picture with Kristen and Jim. There. So Megan's going to help us out with pictures.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Dr. Johnson, do you have to post when it's something about you? Do you have to hand it off?
Oh, I'm not helping with this. Fine. I told Val that.
Well, the thing I was telling Mr. Gurney about the award that, like, I feel awkward doing this, but the social media component that was chosen for the award was the district strategic plan social media series that we did at the midway point of our strategic plan, like last February and March. But I love that that was the one that was chosen because it represents everyone in this room. Our strategic plan was something that our board has put in place. Our cabinet of the ones like summarizing the goals and things that had happened for the strategic plan. So while I appreciate you saying something to me, it's truly in us for this particular post. So thank you.
And I appreciate Dr. Johnson's humility and humbleness with this, but at the same time, we have 2 awards, one for the district and one that says Dr. Johnson. So they're very, very big, and we're very, very proud of all the work she's done. Absolutely.
Congratulations and thank you.
Another spotlight we had was its school board member month, which is nice because we have a conference coming up. I've said the same thing to everybody that I've talked to over the last few months. I've got 7 school board members that want to do what's right for our community. I've got 7 board members that really want to help in any way they can. And that's across the board, every single one of them. And I couldn't be prouder to be up here with them. So we've got a little tiny something that Kelly, Lynn, and I have been working on picking out from Amazon. So we go ahead and open it. We really wanted to represent that each one of you is a piece of the puzzle here in Mokena.
Very nice.
Super cute.
And then in our district, we try to celebrate our board members by incorporating things with the kids. So if you look around the room, you'll see lots of posters. Kelly Lynn's going to help me out. This is kindergarten. The one behind Kelly McMillan is MIS. That is just covered with signatures. And then there's grade levels throughout. And I think we have 2 videos to show. I think Lincoln's going to sync those up. Yeah. They did such a nice job.
This is so nice.
This is MES.
I know. How cool is that? Just fits right in.
We have one more from the junior high.
The main rules are about organizing in classrooms full of newcomers and textbooks. Well, I think there's a thing somebody that you probably don't think enough, and that's the school board. The school board, they meet once a month to discuss what's best for the students. They have a lot of responsibilities. They do a lot more than just the student and curriculum. Do you like things like different doctors like lunch, eighth grade buddies, and the Mokena end of the year 5K? Well, you can thank the Mokena board for all these fun activities. And that's not all. The school board also organizes things like field trips to iBlock, for Duke, homework science day, Washington, D.C., for the Seattle Science Industry, Fashion Week, Six Flags, and so much more. The school board even includes things like our science program. We need to experience like this every day. So on behalf of all the students in the Mokena 159 School District, I would like to say thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much.
That was nice. Really appreciate Kelly Lynn working and kind of coordinating some of these things and this historical piece that's done annually, and the kids did such a nice job. That's all I have for Spotlight.
Off to a good start so far.
Yeah.
I like it.
So much.
I like it a lot. So we have 2 presentations tonight. We're going to start off with the tax levy. Terry, you are on top.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to take a look at our our tax levy. We'll start off with the timeline. So last month you got information presented. It was very similar to what you're seeing tonight. We did have a finance committee meeting last week where we talked about the levy. Tonight, we're asking for approval of the tentative levy, and we'll publish our truth in taxation in the newspaper. We'll hold our hearing at the December board meeting and request that the board approve the tax levy, and then we will submit to the county clerk. This levy generates funds for this school year and next school year. Some definitions are listed in case you want to know what the definitions are as you look through the levy documents. So when we do the levy, the first thing that we kind of take a look at is our budget, and this is the budget for fiscal year 26. And we take a look at the fund balances at the end of the year. In the green, that's where our target fund balance policy between 33 and 65%. And if it's in red, it's a little low, and yellow is high. So we take a look at the areas in the red and say, do we need to support these funds with some additional tax levy dollars? So we do have a little bit of ability to maneuver and manipulate where those dollars, which funds they flow into. The majority is going to go into our ed fund because that's the majority of what we do and pay is out of our education fund. So when we take a look at our 2025 tax levy request, based on the information in our budget, we're going to be taking a look at the referendum money. So we know that we've got our referendum in our projects. The transportation levy, we're going to monitor that fund balance because we've purchased some buses in the last few years. So we've used a lot of the transportation fund. We've also added some additional staff in the transportation department. So we're going to be monitoring that. And then IMRF Social Security is a little low, so we need to buoy that fund up a little bit. And then we need to take a look at working cash and maybe decreasing what that levy looks like in working cash because we do have significant funds in the working cash fund. So when we look at the levy request, you can see that those items monitor the transportation levy. So from last year, the first column is the 2024 extension. That's what we received last year. The middle column is 2025 anticipated, what we expect that we're going to receive. And the far column is the balloon levy, which is a strategy that the district uses in case the EAV that we have is actually higher than we anticipate. So we request the 2025 column, and that's what we write our levy for. The middle column is what we expect that we're going to get, and 2024 is what we got last year. So we're taking a look, we monitor the transportation levy. You can see that it's very close to what we levied for last year. The O&M referendum money, so that is just embedded inside the operations and maintenance. It's all part of Fund 20. And IMRF Social Security, you can see from last year to this year, we have levied a little more. So we have more money flowing into Fund 50. So next year, it'll be back into the green. It did dip down in the red, so it'll be back in the green next year. And then decreasing the working cash levy, which still at this same point in time maintains a total tax rate very similar to last year, maybe 0.1 down. Okay. So this levy cycle brings in 51% of this year's budget and 49% for next year's budget in FY27. This is a picture of what our tax levy looks like. So you'll see that we're requesting that the board president and secretary sign and once the board approves next month. And that's what gets filed with the county clerk. We do the math when we calculated what we're asking for. Anytime that your ask is more than 5% of last year's levy, you have to hold a truth in taxation hearing. And so when we calculated what our request is based upon last year's actuals, it's higher than 5%. So we are mandated to have a truth in taxation hearing. This is a look at our historical extension trend from 2021, 22, 23, 24, and our anticipated this year, not our levy request, but our anticipated. And you can see how those numbers increase in 21 from 18.3 in 22 to 19.4. So there was a large jump. That was also the year where we were at 5% when we had a larger CPI. The same thing from 22 to 23. And then last year, the increase wasn't as much because we had a 3.4% CPI, and this year at 2.9, we expect the increase to be smaller yet as CPI decreases. Here's a picture of what the CPI looks like. Those 2 years that we had 7 and 6.5, our revenue is capped at 5% because of the property tax limiting extension law. It doesn't mean that things that we purchased, supplies, materials, projects that we pay for, were also capped at 5%. Everything that we purchase increased according to CPI. So all of the products and services that we get, we've had steady, heavy increases over the last 4 years. Our EAV, so the last few years, the last dozen years has been very favorable. We've had a very robust economy. EAV has trended high. From 2008, we were just over $600 million. And then 2009, it was up. And then there were 5 years of decline in EAV. And when you take a look at 2008 and where we were over 600,000, it takes all the way to 2021, 13 years to recover to get to that same point in EAV. So that's a long time to recover from what happened in those down years after the 2008 economy. And this is the data that go along with the previous graph. You can see last year in 2024, the EAV in Mokena went up over 10%. So that's a compilation of that 7, 6.5, 3.9. Those numbers, you can see the 6.5 and almost 6. So the EAV trend has been to go up, and it went up a lot last year. We don't know if it will probably not be as much. We do anticipate doing a balloon levy based on the preliminary from the assessor's office at 12.56. This is a look at our tax rate for since 2008. In 2024, the data where I pulled this from didn't have the county clerk's levy in this. This is just our levy. So it does look a little low. It's missing the bond and interest in that because where I pulled it from, they don't have that data put into the tax rates yet. But I have it in the next slide or the one after this. So this is a look at our tax rate over the course of since 2013 to 2025, and it's been very steady. We've also had a very upswing in our EAV. This is a look at our total tax rate. So you can see since 2013, as EAV has went up, our tax rate has been steady and declining. The dotted line is the slope of the trend of what's going on with the tax rate, which is just opposite of what went on with the EAV. So EAV goes up, tax rate stays the same or drops. And then as we compare Mokena with Will County elementary districts between 1,000 and 5,000, here's the list of the schools. And then Mokena has the lowest tax rate amongst the group between Mokena, Summit Hill, Troy, Homer, Frankfort, Channahon, Will County. So that's something for us to be very proud of, that we have this very low tax rate in Will County. And then just to compare against the Lincoln Way feeder districts with Summit Hill, New Lenox, Frankfort, Mokena, again, in this group, Mokena has the lowest tax rate. And then I went even a little broader and went, how about all of Will County? And when we take a look at all of Will County and how does our tax rate compare to all of Will County, we're down there in the third from the bottom, and Elwood gets a lot of federal money. I mean, I think we all know that Abraham Lincoln Memorial cemeteries know it. So they get a lot of federal money. So that's a pretty impressive graph where we fall in all of Will County for a tax rate for the elementary school. And so on that same note, how much do our property taxes, if we have a $400,000 house in Mokena, based on 2024's tax rate, because we don't know what 2025 is going to be yet, how do we compare? So the taxes to Mokena would be 35, 38, 98. And then across the other Lincoln Way feeders, you can see what the taxes would be if you lived in Frankfort, New Lenox, Summit Hill, or Manhattan. And each of those, you're going to be paying a little more than you would if you were living in Mokena. And then on top of that, Mokena got a few awards. as being top 20% of elementary schools, top 16% of middle schools in Illinois. Nice low tax rate, quality. So some questions like where does our money go? The answer is directly pulled from our budget. We are a people business. Our money goes to the next slide, Lincoln. There's more slides after that. It does say questions, but then I answer some of them. That's okay. The answer is directly pulled from our budget hearing presentation that we had in August. So we are a people business. So our money, the majority of it goes to our people. Salary and benefits, purchase services is also mostly people. And then we're very fortunate with our O&M referendum that we do have capital outlay. And then somebody else asked, where does the additional revenue from the levy go in the next fiscal year? And so then I just pulled from our March financial projection. So all of the answers to these questions are available on our district website on our transparency page. So you can see in here that our biggest expenses are salary and benefits. And from our budget from 2025 to what we projected for this year and then going forward, all of the additional dollars that we receive in the education tax levy are going to our people. So it's salary and benefits take up the majority of any new revenue, and especially in the education fund. And then there was a question at how can the district receive more money and my property taxes go down? So if you as an individual, your individual house doesn't go up as much as the 10% that we had. So 10% around the board was what the property values went up. If your individual property either stayed flat or maybe went up less than the CPI, then your taxes would actually go down because our tax rate went down. That would be the how and the how of it. Okay, additional question. Yeah, so that was a, sorry, that's was a slide from the finance committee.
I have a couple things.
We know there's gonna be an accident.
So
Yes.
Terry,
yes,
can
we do.
you go back to pay, or I don't know who has control here. I just have a quick question. I didn't think about this, but where we're showing the extension. So extension trend data
9,
is the, okay.
slide 9, yep, for Lincoln, slide 9, yep. There you go. Nope, it's green and white. Up, up, up. Doesn't it?
It's backwards, Lincoln, earlier.
Earlier.
There you
it
go,
is.
right there. Okay, so, so can you just, you can see the extension, you know, through the year 21, 22, 23, 24, the rate in the 20, you know, in the year column, it's not, that's the rate, right?
Correct.
So what is our ability at this point to reallocate those rate of the total? In other words, you know, basically the bottom line, right, is right now is 2.5174.
Yes.
And that is a total of all the numbers above it. And so what I'm asking is, what is involved in reallocating how that rolls out into the different funds? So if we, for example, said we would like to allocate 2.0 to the education fund, and, you know, you get my drift, like change those,
I
the
do.
allocation.
I think I understand your question. From what I'm hearing you ask is that of the 2.5, can we make the first line 2.0, and then from that we're missing 0.2781,
2.0
right?
was just an example.
so we would
but,
have to
But
go-
I'm just saying reallocate the
I'm
numbers somehow, right?
done? Okay. Yeah, so we can do that up until the point where the board votes on the levy. So this is a tentative levy. And so from today to next month, that can change until the board votes on the final levy. And then once it's voted on the final levy, that gets submitted to the county clerk. The county clerk sends me information in March that says, here's your final EAV, here's the tax levy that you submitted, here's the numbers that go along with that. Would you like to make any changes? So you have the ability to make changes up until the board votes on the levy next month for what's submitted to the county clerk. And then the county clerk sends it back to the district in March saying, here's your final EAV. Do you want to change anything? And typically the answer is no in March because it's been set. And typically from November to December, this hasn't been changed, but you can change it similar to how you go from a tentative budget to the final budget. So it's the same process. This is tentative. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think my only follow-up question to what you just said, I didn't realize the whole March
Yeah,
piece.
yeah,
So is that something that is brought to the board?
It's not. It hasn't. I've never changed any of it. And you can also see that bottom line on there with the Public Act 102-0519. That came into existence several years ago. That's also given to us by the county clerk. So
I'm
that's
sorry,
not
what
something-
are we looking?
There's a bottom line item on there too, that it's additional revenue that comes from
Oh, the
the
PA,
PA, right?
the
That
PA,
Public Act.
okay.
So that what we do with that is we just allocate those dollars straight according to what our percentages are above. You know what I'm saying? Like 90%.
Yeah, but
of
it doesn't
above
look
that
like
fund.
we're getting anything on that, are we?
Well, because we don't know until March.
Oh,
That's why.
so
it's
that's the
empty.
March piece.
Yeah, that's the March piece.
Okay, so what is the process for the board between now and December to look at scenarios that reallocate and what that would look like? Here's where you know, here's where I'm going. And we don't need to talk about this right now. We can discuss. I'm just curious what the process is because I don't know that we've changed this or done this, but I looked at our O&M and basically we are unique because this O&M is a combination of two things. One is Fund 20 and one is Fund 21. Other districts don't have Fund 21. So this $4 million is much higher than what other districts have in their O&M. And as a percentage of the whole, we are allocating a much higher percentage to O&M than other districts. From my very brief research, other districts are running at about, right around 10 to 12%, where, we're allocating basically $4 million out of $21 million. So that's a higher percentage. And when you look at our budget and you add those two numbers together, our budget is basically $5 million to O&M out of a $22 million budget. So that's a high portion of the whole, right? So that's where I'm going. We have a deficit in the education fund. We have salaries and benefits that have, raised, we've given, higher raises. And this revenue that we have coming in via the levy is only at a 3% from last year to this year. Well, we already know we're in a deficit and we have salaries that went up 5% and benefits that went up 20% is what I think. So we're gonna be in the same situation next year with the education fund, worse in my opinion, financially than we are now. Worse meaning the deficit I would expect to be larger next year. So we should be thinking about how to reallocate that O&M money into the education fund. And that is what I believe was suggested back when we were talking about our budget, kind of reallocating money out of O&M. So we can't spend Fund 21 funds on anything except facilities, but we can reallocate Fund 20 into education. So I would like to look at that. And then just one quick point of clarity, and then we can move on. But I just, for the people in, in the public, if we could go link into the slide. Now I don't know where we're at, but I think it's forward, like 6. It's a
This one, when you take a look at this one, what you're talking about is you can see Mokena's brown, and Mokena's brown were the third one from the right. So Mokena has the third lowest tax rate. The brown area is Fund 20. So you can see where our Fund 20 is brown. The one right next to us to the right is about the same, and the one farthest to the right is about the same. There's a few of them in there that have larger brown levy in their O&M fund, similar to ours, that don't have a Fund 21. So you can see that there are some school districts in Will County, half of them, that have an O&M fund levy that's very similar in the size to our O&M fund levy. Just
right, but I'm not
It's
talking
not.
about just Fund 20. I'm
You-
talking about
you
20
talked
and
about-
21 combined.
Fund 20 is Fund 20 and 21 combined on this slide, because when you're a levy and ISB, Fund 21 is subsumed by Fund 20. So it's not broken out on this slide between 20 and 21. 20 and 21 are Fund 20. Brown is Fund 20 for every district in that slide. Many districts in that slide have the same size brown as we do.
Okay, so the districts that I looked at were substantially less as a whole. So
In their
I
Fund
would have
20
to,
levy, just to clarify, in their Fund 20 levy.
in the O&M levy
yeah.
and budget.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
And I would say that they don't have probably a 21. But
They
lot
don't
of
have a
these school
20. We're the
districts-
only ones in the state that have this, right? You said,
don't
I
know
thought,
if it's the only one, but it is very unique.
yeah,
But you can see the size of a lot of those are very similar in the size because they're levying a nickel. This is a 0.5. They're levying the same amount, and that's the 0.5. So all of those school districts, but they're levying it for O&M operations, or they're using their O&M levy for capital projects, but maybe they don't have a Fund 21, but they're levying that much in their O&M fund because people need to do projects. They just don't have a Fund 21.
I thought that looking at one district versus the other, Fund 20, that's apples to apples. So maybe it's not, but that's what I was comparing as a percentage of the whole. Their Fund 20, what percentage? Our Fund 20, what percentage? If that's not fair, then we can, I don't know. I don't know what.
It is. Our 21 is inside 20. And people that
Right.
don't have a 21 don't have the restrictions that we have via the referendum board policy.
Right.
They can spend their 20, I would assume, how they want to spend their Fund 20 on salary benefits for their O&M staff and capital projects within a 20. We're very restrictive in what we can do in 21.
Right. Yeah, I'm just saying as a whole, that it seemed like our percentage allocated was much higher than in comparison, but I'll dig into it, between now and next month. The slide that I wanted to just bring to everybody's attention, I think is a really good one. And this is one that is presented every year. Lincoln. How am I supposed to know what page this is? It's titled Equalized Assessed. It's the EAV trend data slide.
Mm-hmm.
Back
up.
This
one.
That.
Yeah,
This. And this is good for, I think, the public to understand, because basically what this is showing is basically our base of what we're collecting taxes on. So as the assessed value of the property in Mokena, you're shaking your head at me, goes up, then, that's the difference, right? From 2024 to 2025,
Mm-hmm.
that, what is that?
100 million.
$100 million increase, which is the 12%. So that's the assessed value going up. So our rate could stay the same, but the dollars that are collected by the public bodies is increased at a higher rate because of that EAV.
Higher dollar amount, not a higher rate.
Right. Rate is the wrong word.
Right, correct. Rate is the wrong word.
Rate is the wrong word. The dollars we collect have gone up substantially because these numbers are,
Increase.
you know, that 10% and that 12% is significant. It's significant.
We're
so-
still capped at 5% because of PTEL. We're
Right,
still
but
capped.
but the dollars is still, I mean, it's basically another $1 million a year, right? The past 2 years.
I can show you that if we go to, and it was the one you started with. So on this slide, what I wanted to point out was in 2008, when you look at this slide, we were at $631 million, or even 2008, 628, the very top slide, 628. It took until 2021 to recover that. So there's a long time where it's not just based on your EAV, because it wasn't until 2021 when the tax base at 628 was back to 643.
Right, which is a testament to why we needed Fund 21 probably to begin with. Yeah.
And then if you go up 3 slides, Lincoln, up arrow. I think you just went down arrow. Up that one, up arrow. I'm trying to help
You're
you.
doing great, Lincoln.
Okay, up arrow. So this is the slide where this is the dollar amount. So in 2021 to 2022, we increased by $1 million, right? You can take a look at the EAV and it's not going to correlate to $1 million.
Right.
This is based on 5% PTEL, $20 million budget, 5%, $1 million.
Yep.
Right? The next year, you also have 5% because you had a 6.5%, 6.5% CPI, 5% PTEL, you've got $1 million increase. The following year, you have an $800,000 increase because you've got a 3.9, 4% on a $20 million, 800,000. This year it's 2.9, so you get 600,000. Because I'm doing general math based on a $20 million budget, right? So our extension dollar amount is decreasing as our CPI is decreasing. Our EAV is also increasing, which is it's a positive for us.
Right,
We're-
that's
but
the
we're
only
capped.
positive we have. That's
It
what
is.
is,
It
that
is.
is the positive.
That is the positive.
Yes.
Because we're capped by
Right.
CPI, by PTEL.
But if you look at in a 5-year period of time, we went from 18, I'm sorry, I can't read, but
18.3.
this is getting old, and then
21.9.
21.9,
Yep.
you know, and whatever that is for 5 years.
Mhm.
That's, I mean, that's a big jump.
And when you have $15 million in payroll and give a 4% or a 5% increase, that's all of it.
Which is why I think that we should talk about that ed fund. That's exactly why. Because we're already in a deficit and we have only increased from 2024 to 2025. That's a 3% increase. We're looking at way more than that in salaries and benefits, way more. And we're already at an $800,000 deficit in that fund. So how do we think that that's enough? But we could talk about that later. Thank you, Dr. Shaw.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Lots to think about. Kristen, you're up.
I don't know. Lincoln did it for me. I looked up and the slides had changed. I was like, oh. Thank you.
Good evening again. Tonight I will be sharing an overview, some highlights, as I've done the past few years regarding our state assessments and those components that are reflected then in the Illinois School Report Card that are related to that. As you know, our school report card went live on October 30th. So the data that I'm sharing is directly pulled from that in the kind of visual format for the most part. But what I'm sharing tonight is reflective of the assessments that were taken last spring. So it's data from the 2024-2025 school year. Just as a quick reminder and kind of the flow of the presentation tonight In terms of assessments, we're going to look at a couple different components of the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. We'll take a look at the math achievement or proficiency of our district, math growth, ELA achievement and proficiency, as well as ELA growth. And then we'll take a look at the Illinois Science Assessment and the proficiency for that assessment as a district. I've mentioned this a few times, but I want to put this at the front of the presentation again this evening. The Illinois State Board of Education over the summer adopted new proficiency levels for the state assessments. So there was a team of educators from all over the state that met in Springfield. We actually had one of our teachers part of that, who re-looked at all of the I would say cut scores, you could say, for what is considered proficient, not proficient, above proficient. They also realigned the proficiency level titles so they were consistent for all of the Illinois assessments. So if you remember in the past, I'd say like meet or exceed. Well, now everything is standard from the Illinois Assessment of Readiness to ACT to the Illinois Science Assessment across the state. So that process happened over the summer, and then that is what kind of caused a little bit of delay on us receiving that data. Typically, it comes to us at the beginning of the summer. I didn't get like the final pieces of data until a couple weeks ago. So we've got it now, and we're going to work through it. But just a reminder that that happened, and therefore this data that I'm sharing tonight sets a new baseline for the district. We cannot compare tonight's data, so the 2024-2025 school data, to the data from the past because of those shifts in the proficiency benchmarks. On average in the state, with the shift in the benchmarks, again, this is an average, so we've got districts here and here, but there was about a 10% higher jump in proficiency in ELA, again, on average, and in math, and about an 8% lowering of proficiency levels in science. So that just to kind of give you a gauge of what on average the state data was showing because of the change. So most districts saw their ELA proficiencies rise from the past. Again, we can't compare, but just for information. And then most districts saw an average of 8% lowering of proficiency in science with the new benchmarks. So we'll start with Illinois Assessment of Readiness. As a reminder, our students take this assessment starting third grade. It is a computer-based assessment. It assesses both ELA and math, and it's primary state accountability measure assessment for Illinois schools. With the new proficiency levels, there are now 4 levels instead of 5 levels. So you're going to see the data presented this evening in the 4 levels. Level 4 would be our students who are above proficient, level 3 proficient, level 2 approaching, and level 1 below proficient. And with the state's definition, we would consider students to have proficiency on grade level standards if they're at a level 3 or 4. We just received a few weeks ago the subclaim performance data that luckily still comes to us as well. So math, we'll look at that data together tonight where it breaks it down a little bit more for us into the different categories of the math assessment as well as the ELA assessment. And then we'll also look at the growth. So when we look at the growth, I just want to clarify because it's a little confusing in the way that they do it. So I would like to explain it to everyone as we come through this about only once a year. But as a growth percentile is telling us how well a student compared to his or her peers at the same starting point. And so every student, just like they receive an achievement percentile, like when Fastbridge comes home and it says you're at the 89th percentile, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness gives us that same look, but from a growth perspective. So how did I grow in comparison to my peers? If I'm at the 99th growth percentile, I grew the same or better than 99% of other Illinois students. So a growth percentile isn't telling us the percentage of students who grew. It's saying compared to other students who have the same starting place as me, here's how I grew in comparison from a percentile perspective. And so each student gets their individual growth percentile, but then a school or a district receives a average student growth percentile for ELA and math. And so then that's kind of giving us the average of the percentiles for growth that our students had. So we'll take a look at that as well. So we'll start with math. Before we jump into the this year's data, I didn't want us to lose our story of where we've been over the past couple years as well in all of this, because with the new baseline, we can't add 2025 to this chart because we can't compare the past now. But we have seen a lot of growth in our students and our proficiency levels over the past several years. So I want to keep this as part of our story. Even though we have a new baseline moving forward, I think it's really important to continue to acknowledge the growth that has happened in the past. So you can see through this chart that we saw together last school year at this time, over the past 3-4 school years, we went from seeing 41.2% of our district students meeting or exceeding standards to 51.6% of students at the conclusion of the 23-24 school year. So over the course of those couple years, we were seeing some rise back out of COVID, which was unique compared to other districts coming out of COVID, and then continuing to see that achievement rise over those few years. But since we can't add the 2025, we'll look at it by itself. And so this then is our 24-25 school year data. So based on those new proficiency levels, and again, we cannot compare those to the past. There's really no way to do that. 62.7% of our students were proficient or above proficient on the math assessment for our district. Our point of comparison that the state provides to us on our report card is the state average, which was at 38.5% of state students having proficiency. So clearly we were above the state average in that point. You can also then, I like this color coding visual because then you can also see the percentage of students in comparison that were below. Clearly our orange is a lot smaller than the states below. And then you can also see obviously the green is much bigger, and then the dark color as well. In terms of above proficient, we do have more students that are above proficient in the district. This is a graph that I make myself from the state report card data that comes to us. So what I'm able to do is pull out all of the Will County districts just as a more localized point of comparison because the state's huge. So when we kind of narrow that perspective a little bit, it's helpful to kind of see how are we compared to other districts, elementary students or districts that have elementary students across Will County. And you can see here, we continue to perform as one of the highest in terms of achievement across. We were third there. And then when you look at all the elementary districts in the state, we are above the top 10% in terms of achievement in comparison. So just gives us another perspective when we think about, well, yeah, we're doing really well compared to the state, but what does that mean for us locally? So I have that comparison there for us as well. So the next piece we're going to take a look at is looking at that proficiency by grade level. So what I just shared was that big picture. We put all of that together, look at that district average. So what here on this slide is showing us where our students were by grade level in terms of proficiency. As you can see, we've got 3rd, 4th, 7th, and 8th grade being our highest. And then we've got a little blip in there with 6th grade, where that was our lowest areas of proficiency. I did take a look because I was like, that's really interesting looking at 6th grade. You know, obviously it doesn't fit with the rest of our graphs. So I'm doing some research with that at this moment in time. I'll be working with Mr. Munch as we just received some data with that. But one of the things to note, and by no means am I saying that this makes it okay, for the area districts that I did take a peek at in the surrounding area, all but one had a very similar data trend with their 6th grade. So again, I'm not saying that that makes it okay, but at least caused me to be like, okay, that's really interesting. It's something we need to look into a little bit further. Like I said, we've recently received the IAR reports that break this down a little bit further. I have meetings scheduled with principal, especially with Mr. Munch, to dig into that data a little bit more. I have a theory, and I'll kind of show it to you on the next slide, of potentially maybe why we're seeing the data we are in sixth grade. But that's going to come with a little bit more work with the building principal and then obviously with the teachers as well, to kind of match up what's happening from a curricular perspective to the assessment. This did come to a surprise to me because I monitor our FastBridge data throughout the year. And this data did not reflect what we were noticing with our sixth grade math FastBridge data. So it kind of caught us a little off guard because our other assessment measures weren't showing that discrepancy from sixth grade to the other we were in there. So more to come on that. Like I said, we just recently received those reports that give us a little bit more look at it. But that is definitely something we will be digging in. But then also digging into our other grade levels where we did see some really great success to see like where were things clicking for students, what is working well in our curriculum, so we can continue to do those things in our classrooms and hopefully kind of replicate that in some areas where we're not seeing that same level of proficiency. The next piece I have is that subclaim data that I mentioned earlier. So as you've seen in the past couple years, I've kind of broken that out so we could see by grade level where our grade levels were performing in those 4 areas. Major content is assessing the identified like major power standards of the grade level. Supporting content is more of those minor or supporting standards. Reasoning is how well students can explain their thinking, critique the reasoning of others. A lot of that is more done in like a written form. That's based on major content. And then modeling is how well students can take like real life application and use the math to like model what the application of that to real life. And again, that's going to be based on that major content. And I'm emphasizing that for a reason, and I'll get to it in a second. I did put a little star above the subclaim that most closely connects to our school improvement plans with the writing and math, because that was always important for me to see, like, is the efforts that we're putting in coming to fruition? Obviously, we look at it from a couple different measures, but this is one of the measures we look at. And then the green box indicates the relative strength for the grade level. It doesn't mean like you're the best in the state. It's just for that grade level, here's where our relative strength lives. The red box is the relative area of growth. Again, they could be having 99% of kids or 98% of kids meeting in that area. But if it's the relative weakness or area of growth, that's what you're going to see in red. That gives us a quick snapshot to kind of say, like, are we noticing any patterns or trends in our data that's saying like, oh, wow, all of our grade levels are having maybe some concerns with major content. If I saw all red down that column, that would cause me to pause and kind of want to dig into that a little bit more. What you see then with the red, the blue, and the green for each of those subclaim areas is a graphic. Red would be our students who were below. Blue would be the students who are at that approaching proficient. And then green is representing the percentage of students who were proficient and above proficient. So we want to see more green, less blue, and even less red. And then the boxes underneath are the percentage of students that fell into those 3 categories. As I mentioned earlier, I did have a potential theory for the 6th grade that we'll have to dig into a little bit. As you can see for 6th grade, major content was that relative area of growth. Major content is what also is infused into the reasoning questions, the math, and the modeling questions. So if that was our area of growth in major content, which is weighted the most on the IAR, it is weighted with the different subclaims, that already brings us down a little bit. But then that content is what's used in the problems for reasoning and the problems for modeling. So if we had some students struggling with that, that also probably struggled in the reasoning and the modeling as well. That's my theory. We still have to kind of work through it a little bit more, but based on looking at that right away, that stood out to me because it is weighted so heavily and it's infused into the reasoning and modeling. Minor content is not. So the next slide I did add another graph, like a little bit before because I felt like it was important and I should have added this piece to the story as well. So what you see on the left was what was originally in the presentation. I did add one other graph. So the state provides growth in two different ways to us. They provide growth to us in the cohort model, and they provide growth to us in a baseline model. For summative designations, they look at the baseline model, but they do provide both because both tell a different story. So cohort growth is showing how a student performs, how a group of students performs against themselves from the year prior. So it's showing year to year to year how students are performing. That's helpful because it's showing like in the moment, the kids who are in fourth grade right now, what are we seeing in terms of growth across the state? The baseline model is the static model. They have a baseline year, which was 2019, that they calculate the growth against. That's helpful because it allows us to have a stable model that's not constantly changing to be able to measure ourselves against to see from year to year to year how are things going up and down, because the cohort growth will change from year to year because it's different groups of kids that are being compared every year, where the baseline growth is the same group that's setting the norm. It's just the kids that we're looking at each year compared to that's changing, if that makes sense. So our baseline growth, again, is what's used in the summative designation. Even though our sixth grade was a little bit lower in terms of growth on the one, it wasn't as much on the other. So again, some things we'll need to look into together in terms of seeing with the achievement, what we were noticing. As you saw, our growth wasn't as high as it has been in the past. So we were a little bit lower in our growth comparison when we compare ourselves to the other Will County districts than we were last school year. We were at the top half for the state, but we were below that top half line for our county. Again, I want to emphasize this isn't the percentage of students who grew. This is the average student growth percentile, which for us placed us right about the 50th percentile. 50th percentile is average growth. So our students on average have average growth that they were making from the 23-24 school year, 22-23 to the 24-25. And then this is just a glimpse of each school. I know we looked at grade levels, but how do those pieces come together at each school and where each of our schools ranks in terms of county-like schools, so either elementary or junior high schools, and then as well as where each school ranks in terms of where they are in the state list of schools who are either elementary or junior high as well. So our elementary schools, 14th out of 101 Will County schools, also puts us in the top 15% of Illinois schools. MIS, very similar. And then our junior high, 4th out of the 32 Will County junior highs puts us at the top 12% of Illinois middle schools. And that is math. So we will take a look at ELA. Again, I felt like kind of seeing where we've been is an important part of our story. So I didn't want to lose that. So this again is showing where we were in fiscal year 21 to where we were compared to fiscal year 24. This has been kind of the heart of our focus over the past couple years as a district through our school improvement plans and a lot of the initiatives that we've seen through our strategic plan. So I don't want to lose the growth and the effort and the time that our teachers have really put into seeing the results of the 41% of students meeting or exceeding to the almost 63% that we saw last school year when we looked at this data together. I do want to acknowledge, again, all of those things that have been happening up until this point that our teachers have done, our ELA curriculum adoptions that we've done, the MTSS work that our MTSS committee has done to work on procedures for students who have not yet met standards, our English language learner program redesign that our EL teachers and our administrators helped do. All of those things over the past couple years have really contributed, again, with our teachers to seeing these numbers grow. I just don't want to lose that part of the story. And so then that's the past. Now, how do we look forward with that new baseline? This particular school year, we saw 71.8% of students proficient versus the 53.1. Again, that's the comparison the state provides to us, that state average. This is now our new baseline as we move forward. So we'll compare ourselves next year to this. By grade level, we have that same chart. We don't see a grade level stand out in the way we saw the 6th grade stand out with math. However, we do see like 8th grade continue to really stand out as that grade level that continues to see students at the highest level proficient or above proficient. But I got to give it to 4th grade. They were right there, as well as 7th grade with 8th grade this past school year. 3rd grade was our lowest proficiency level, but again, it's not like that 6th grade data where we saw like a significant difference from 3rd grade to another grade level. Still first year with the assessment, right around where everyone was. Here's where we were then in comparison to other Will County districts. We had a couple districts catch up to us this past school year, but still, you know, that top half of the Will County districts. And we also then, in comparison to the other districts in the state, were in the top 15% in terms of achievement. That subclaim data then, breaking that out for ELA, they give it to us in 2 different ways. We have reading subclaims that break it out by genre, so our literary text or informational text, as well as vocabulary. And then the writing components, where you look at the written expression, which is more like getting your ideas on paper, having it be coherent, having it be organized, having it be aligned to the topic. And written conventions is what we would traditionally think of as like grammar skills. I did put a little star up above written expression because that is the category that's most closely aligned to our school improvement plans. So I was so excited to see all but one of our grade levels, that was the relative strength. And so I was like, yay, like you're seeing that shift. If you remember back a couple years when we presented some of this data, our 8th grade cohort at that time, when they were 6th graders, we had like 11% of students that were green, that were meeting. And so to see this big shift, we saw that last year, you know, it makes us feel really good that our time and efforts with our school improvement plans, with our curriculum, we're seeing really good things happening for our students. So to see all of that green under written expression makes my heart happy and really speaks to the work that our teachers are doing in the classroom. So our relative areas of growth all fell under reading. Again, not meaning that it's low, but that's just our relative area of growth. So it'll be interesting to see. Most of our school improvement plans are in their final year. And so it'll be great to dig into this data now with the math and the reading to see if we may need to shift focus a little bit more and keep on keeping on with what's happening with our writing. Okay, and then here is the ELA growth data. Again, comparing the first one is that cohort growth. The second one is the baseline growth. So you can kind of see side by side what that looks like. Again, the state uses the one on the right when it comes to designations. The one on the left, though, kind of gives us a year-by-year snapshot of how students are comparing to other students at that same moment in time. The one on the right is telling us how our students are growing in comparison to that baseline group in 2019. So we're right at that state average, again, a little bit above, a little bit higher than math in terms of that average growth. Again, I want to emphasize this doesn't mean the percentage of students who grew, it's that percentile, average percentile of growth. So we're right around average growth. So we don't have significantly high growth, but we don't also have significantly low growth. Just for a frame of reference, I forgot to mention this earlier, the state considers average growth to be between the 40th and 60th percentile. Above the 60th percentile, the state considers to be leaning towards high growth. And some one of these below the 40th percentile, the state considers that to be on the lower end of growth. So again, all of these falling within that average growth. And that average growth kind of put us right in the middle in comparison to the other elementary districts in Will County. But that puts us in the top quarter of districts throughout the state. Since we do see average growth, it has helped us maintain, we're not seeing low growth, helped us maintain those achievement levels. So more growth, you'll see more achievement most likely. But with the average growth, we've been kind of maintaining where those achievement levels would be. Our students are still growing at the rate that's considered average. And then here's that comparison for each of our 3 schools in terms of where they fall with Will County districts, as well as other, Will County schools and other like schools across the state of Illinois. We don't get as much fun data for the Illinois Science Assessment. I'm still waiting for it. It's been about 6 years, but maybe one of these days I'll have a little bit more for you. But I've got a little bit, to share. So again, the Illinois assessment or Illinois Science Assessment comes to us in 5th, or our students take in 5th and 8th grade. 5th is kind of a capstone of the K-5 standards. 8th grade is a capstone of the 6th through 8th grade science standards. They do, again, take that on the assessment, and it's reflective of the Illinois Learning Standards for Science. There we go. It is broken down into those 4 categories. Now we have the consistency, where this was the breakdown for science before, but now IAR is in the same alignment. Well, at least it's aligned now. Yep. And then one of these days, I'm hoping we get the breakdown into these 4 domain areas: the life science, physical science, and earth and space science, similar to what we get with the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. So still waiting. I'll let you know when it comes. Don't hold your breath. So here's where the district is this year. Again, new baseline. We were at 56% of our students proficient. I'm trying to change my language. Proficient and above proficient compared to the state average of 44.6%. As a reminder, again, we can't really compare the past, but with the change in proficiency benchmarks, on average, districts saw an 8% decline in the proficiency. So they actually made science a little bit harder. And then ELA and math, those proficiency, it was a little bit lower. So we're in line, kind of, again, can't compare, but if you do, that's why. And then broken down by grade level, we see where our 5th graders and our 8th graders were. This isn't really surprising to me to see our junior high or 8th grade be at a much higher level than our 5th grade, as our junior high science program curriculum has been well established. That is something that has been there for several years, has been a big focus. They're content-specific teachers. Things are going great with that curriculum. We haven't touched science yet, K through 5, in terms of curriculum. At least since I've been here, that's our next one. So that'll be something we start next year. So hopefully when we bring something in that provides a little bit more consistency, targeted instruction to the standards in our classrooms, we'll see that 5th grade catch up to where 8th grade is at the junior high. And then here's again a point of comparison of where Mokena falls as it relates to the other districts in Will County. This also puts us at the top in the top quarter of districts in the state for proficiency in science. So all these pieces, plus a couple other things, come together for each school to receive the summative designation. That comes to us with the report card. As a reminder, these designations include multiple measures of school performance, and we'll take a look at that in a second. And it's based on the overall school data. So they don't look at like 3rd grade separately. I guess that's a bad example. They don't look like 6th grade separate from 7th from 8th. When it comes to the junior high designation, they look at the school as a whole. This system was amended in 2022. So they said don't compare designations prior to that to designations since then. And then to add even more fun, they're actually changing the designation system for this upcoming school year. So we'll no longer be able to compare where we were before to what's happening moving forward. I from what I'm hearing, I think it's going to be a good change. Currently, the designations are a moving target. Everyone is ranked and filed from top to bottom in terms of points, and there's a 10% line. And so you may have very similar data from year to year, but if another district's data has surpassed you, you may have dropped below that line. So what they are proposing is that there are like indicators that if you're here, you're exemplary, commendable, rather than you never know year to year if this is going to get you here or here until they release that. So I think that will really help districts like know what they're striving for and what they're aiming for in terms of proficiency, in terms of growth, and some of those other indicators. So it's no longer going to be a moving target, but a static target. So we know exactly what we're trying to get so that's not changing from year to year. So more on that next year. But for right now, the designations that we're looking at tonight are based on the indicators that they have over the past couple of school years. 75% of the designation comes from those academic indicators, which, as a reminder, 50% of the designation is growth. So those school growth percentiles that we looked at together, 50% of that is growth. So that's kind of a piece of the puzzle. Only 15% of that is achievement. And then we have 20% is chronic absenteeism. So they put more weight in chronic absenteeism than they do in the achievement of a district. Again, they're working on, and that's how it's been. They're working on fixing that. But that baffles me because, you know, for districts who are high achieving, that is just a very minor piece in the puzzle. Growth is obviously the 50%, and then the chronic absenteeism is that next highest indicator at 20%. There's also 5% that you'll see for science proficiency, as well as how our students are progressing through the access assessment, which is given to our English language learners that assesses language proficiency. And then in addition, there's 5% that is the participation on the climate survey by our students. So the percentage of students who filled out the 5 essentials survey. So just a reminder of where those pieces come from. To come to the designation, not all of these things are weighted equally. Again, growth 50%, chronic absenteeism 20%, proficiency 15%, and then those other pieces are 5% of the designation. As a reminder, these are the designations that are available for districts to receive based on those calculations that happen. Exemplary comes when after they give all the points out for the growth, the achievement, they rank everyone from top to bottom, and wherever that 10% line is, if you're at or above, you're exemplary. Commendable would be those who are below, so that 89% down, I believe, to the 10%. That's another reason they're trying to revamp it, because that commendable is so big. So trying to like account for that too, like we're on the higher end of commendable, but it's the same rating as someone who's like 12%, you know, like that's not good. And then we don't need to worry about those other ones, but targeted support, comprehensive support, intensive support, we're not there. We're never there. We're nowhere near that. But just so you know, those are available for districts to receive as well. So with that being said, all 3 of our schools received commendable this year. That's similar to what MES and MIS have received over the past couple years. That is not what the junior high has received the past few years. We have had an exemplary rating. I was asked by a couple of people, well, why? What happened? Well, when you look at our growth is averaged. And if that's 50% of the designation rating at this point, we do see that impact the points that the district received. Again, the growth average, but it wasn't where it was before. So that's why you're seeing the commendable rating. We also did have quite a bit of chronic absenteeism at the junior high as well. And so with that being 20, it's not like significant, but we did not receive full points for that. And that was probably our next indicator that had a significant hit to it this past school year. But for achievement across the board, we received all the points we could receive. We met the thresholds for achievement, but unfortunately, that's only 15% of the designation. obviously some people are a little disappointed with that, and I understand. I want everyone to be exemplary, but it's still something to be happy about. We're on the higher end of exemplary. Again, it's a pretty wide range. The growth piece that we'll continue to kind of take a peek at, but that's probably not going to matter as much as we move forward because we'll have more of those bars and they'll be more equally weighted as opposed to that much put into the growth. So yeah, that is where each of our schools are. Again, I don't want to discount this by any means because there's a lot of great things that are happening. The scores are on the high end when you look at that commendable. So we'll continue plugging forward. So with that being said, just to kind of wrap up our next steps, we will continue to move forward with our school improvement plans, and most of us are in our year 3 of those goals. So we'll continue to move forward with those goals as well as the strategic goal work that we have set for this school year. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll also be meeting with each of our principals to review that data that's more recently come to us that typically we get over the summer, but we just received the subclaim, the data by standards. We'll be meeting with the teachers to take a peek at that as well, see what's working for us, where are our celebrations, and where are those areas that we might need to tighten up a little bit as we continue on with our curriculum for the school year. But overall, I'm really proud of our data. Our teachers have just continued to do an amazing job of implementing all of these things in their classrooms, being part of committees, bringing their voice the table of what's going to make impact and change in our classrooms, and we continue to see their efforts with our learning that's happening throughout the district. So we'll continue, to do the work. Never going to stall out or say we're good enough. That's not in our vocabulary. We'll continue to put all of those things in place that we've done and we'll continue to do to continue to see these things grow for kids. But overall, I'm very happy and proud of what's happening in our classrooms and throughout the district. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the teachers that help us. And like anything else, complacency is not in our vocabulary, and we keep moving onward and upward.
Yeah.
Sometimes looking in the rearview mirror helps a little bit, but they took that away. So it's time to carry on.
Yeah, I know. But we don't want to lose it. It's an important part of our story because we do see those gains from the efforts that have happened. And I don't want to discount that or lose that because we see over the past year a lot of really great movement in our proficiency rate.
Well, and they moved the goalpost too.
Yeah, well, kind of what happens. But we keep moving on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Johnson, I just have a couple things. I just give a lot of credit to you guys, everybody here, and all the work that goes into this. I've heard some negativity, that people are interpreting this data like in a negative way, but I actually look at it as a very positive thing. The thing that I looked at was I pulled up last year's, and even though we can't compare last year's to this year's, you could clearly see the movement is going to the right, and that's what we want. And you identified the one spot that it was like, there it is. What is that? And you're gonna, follow up on that. But otherwise, I just give a lot of kudos to everybody who, and you can, the part, there's a couple parts that I really like. One is this subclaim performance indicators and these red things. I didn't understand them, but I get it now. And that's good. I agree. That's what we want to see. And you don't see a lot of red on here. And, what you guys are driving towards with the reasoning and the writing and all the things with the strategic plan, it seems to all be working and moving into the right direction. So I think that's really positive. I think one of the big takeaways with this designation is, and people don't understand this, I didn't understand this, but, we were exemplary in the junior high, but only 10%, right? That get that? So we got there, but like the slightest little thing, you know, and it could be other school districts and not even us. Like, so, so I think explaining that that is just such a small sliver of the whole pie,
And it's a moving target.
and it's a moving target, and all these things that are like up against us getting that, and you know, like we have to meet is like it's difficult. But when you look at the overall comparison and I wrote down where were we at in each school last year, where are we at now? I mean, I think everyone went up, you know, so
Close, yeah, around the same.
or around the
Yeah,
same,
yeah.
but like some of them went up significantly. So I really like it. And you know, one piece I literally wrote down was like, where's the cohort data? And then now you have it there. So
And
I'm
I'll
gonna look at that.
reattach that for you.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
see, she prints this for me and then I look at it and
It
then,
was something I added, like I mentioned, a little bit later today because, you know, as I reflected
Yeah.
about what, like, that was a piece, I was like, you know what, that probably should be. So we'll reattach that.
and my only other point of feedback is, you know, this right here, what I'm, you know, where I know that you can't lay it like in a line because the bar moved and the, you know, the meet or exceeds or whatever these four, but like to even have it on one slide and have some kind of separation where you could still see it, you know, you're not looking at 2 pages. We could still see last year and the year before, because that past story and everything we've done in the past 5 years, we should see that in one page. Like that would be nice. Because that's what I was kind of doing, like piecing together. But anyway, so thank you. Good job.
Very briefly, I feel like you almost caveated being proud of this. Don't caveat. Please be proud of all of this progress. We're academically strong and we're fiscally responsible. So the twofer, one after the other. And not only that, you were honest and transparent throughout the whole presentation. And I hope our community sees that. The report card is one tool. It's one tool that is the easiest to collect, right? It's numbers, we can collect it, but it misses some of the things that you pointed out. The improvements to MTSS, the English language learners, the committees, the teachers' commitment. You meet with all these teachers to develop curriculum, to get their buy-in, so to speak. We implemented advanced learners. You're not having a staff that sits still. So, you know, and, you know, the last piece is comparing to our neighbors. We always like to compare, even our, you know, personally, we compare ourselves to, you know, our friends or whatever. We are improving and all of this progress with having the lowest tax rate in our county. So just kudos to everybody. I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
As you're going through the data, I was thinking to myself, you know, you're talking about meeting with Mr. Munch to go over the data and things like that. So how much data do we get by category, like on below proficient? I mean, do we know all the way down to the student level to identify that? Or are we at group levels? Are we at, like, how granular does that data get to help us analyze the you know, the performance and maybe identify students that, you know, we need to reach out to and help and get them from, you know, the red, orange, yellow to green on that front, or vice versa. You know, you could have a student that's straight A student that just said, "Hey, I thought it was fun games. I just hit A on every button." So I don't know, just a thought that you know, it'd be nice to know how you're going to do that and what data we have.
Yeah. Would you mind adding that to the questions
Yep.
for informational items that Mr. Gurney will send out? I'll be happy to answer that for you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Amanda, you've been very patient tonight. How you doing back there? The podium would like to request Amanda Montgomery to come join us. Come on up. Hey, she waited 2 hours. I'll give her an introduction.
I saw taxes before me and I cried.
I'm not sure how I'm taking that, but okay.
Former CPA, now inactive, still sad. Don't like tax. I'll admit it. Hi, I'm Amanda. I just wanted to take this opportunity to a couple of things. Thank Mr. Gurney and your prompt communication and empathetic response to the traumatic incident that happened yesterday. I think it's great that we are prioritizing students and their family safety. And also Dr. Johnson with your work on social media. I know some negative stuff has come through and I really appreciate you being positive. And then separately, in addition, I'd like to give praise to MES staff. I have some specifics. Miss Lydia, who is a new parapro that was hired recently. She is amazing. Miss Lynn, who is part of the preschool program. And then also some teachers, Miss Stofa, who is part of the preschool. Mrs. Wilkinson, who is special education for second grade, and then Mrs. Worley, general education, and then some other parapros, Mrs. Carey, and then all the support staff. I can name them all, but some of them I don't know how to pronounce their names. But they're amazing. And I'd also like to thank Mrs. Twirley. So just to give you a little perspective, both my children struggle with different sensory stuff, specifically new crowds, unfamiliar places, unfamiliar people. It's a big impact for my kids. But both my kids were able to attend and actively participate in the Veterans Assembly. So kudos to Mrs. Arduino for putting that on. But this is also huge because their dad is a veteran. And we have a whole bunch of other family members that are veterans too. And then in addition to that, they were both able to participate happily in the MES family night. I think it was called Steam Night. So that was really nice. I like the changes that we saw in there. It was more low key, which was definitely beneficial, more inclusive to the kids. And while I know my oldest hasn't taken the IAR yet, she does participate in the FATS Bridge. And I just wanted to give you like some specifics on that. She was one, I am dyslexic. I was worried about her with her reading scores. They were in the low teens for I don't know how many years. And she is now in the high 80s. So I will give staff credit for that. That's why there's huge things. And then also I want to thank everyone that there is a sense of community within the district and staff. It shows how much my children have grown. That shows how much the staff is dedicated. And then on another note, as committees are decided, I urge special education be represented within the parent-teacher advisory committee, especially if it's being leveraged as the behavioral interventions committee. Many parents and guardians work with experienced certified personnel that are external to the school, and they have valuable insight and knowledge and connections that could be leveraged. Mhm.
That means
Sure. I move to approve minutes from the October 15, 2025 regular meeting and closed session as presented.
Okay. Questions or concerns?
Yes.
Go for it.
So I spoke with Bob about this, and one of the changes that, and I've spoken about this in the past, is the way that these minutes are reflective of the discussion that is had at the meetings. And we have a board policy that is specific to the fact that our meeting minutes document discussions had at the meetings. And and there is a fundamental change this month, and Bob has told me that, he and our board secretary, changed it so that there is no documentation of the discussion that had happened last month. So if you look at these minutes, there's no discussion on the actions, which is not the case when you look at the video. There was discussion. So board policy 220 is the one that states that this is our policy, and it's consistent with IASB and school code, to my understanding, as it relates to meeting minutes. But I've already talked to Bob about it. He understands. I'm sending him this thing, so I think he'll take care of it. But that is the reason why I will not vote to approve these, and just ask that we return to documenting discussion in accordance with board policy. Please, thank you.
So noted. Any other questions or concerns? I'd like to call the vote.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan?
No.
Mrs. Ost?
Yes.
Mrs. Tenney?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes. Eric, thank you for spending time this month working on the district bills. Do you have anything you'd like to share about them?
No, I would just like to say thank you for Dr. Shaw and her time. Mr. Gurney was also available, so thank you for him for listening to my questions and going through all the bills. And with that, I move to approve the monthly bills as presented.
Second. Questions or concerns? Kelly Lynn?
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ost?
Yes.
Mrs. Tenney?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Thank you, Eric. Would someone like to read the next one?
I move to approve personnel recommendations 7C 1 through 5 as presented. Second. Wow. Background check and verification of credentials is applicable. Second. Sorry.
It's my fault.
I thought Julie was going.
Questions or concerns? Hearing none, let's go.
Mrs. McMillan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ost?
Yes.
Mrs. Tenney?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Who's up?
I move to approve the disposal of items as presented.
Second.
You two are like gremlins. That's why we can't do these things late at night. Okay. Questions or concerns? Hearing none, let's go.
Mrs. Ost?
Yes.
Mrs. Tenney?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan?
Yes.
I move to approve the use of the novel Frankenstein's Cat, Cuddling Up to Biotech's Brave New Beasts in the 8th grade science curriculum, because that's a fun sentence to say,
Second.
so you didn't beat me on it.
Second.
Okay. Questions or concerns?
I just wanted to hear you say cuddling up.
Thanks for letting me feel warm and fuzzy. I appreciate it. I'm going to go read a book. Okay,
I
let's
have a
go.
comment.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I have already spoken with Bob about, this is the first time that a change to the curriculum has come to the board, to my recollection, kind of mid-year. And I'm just not familiar with the process. For that reason, I don't feel comfortable. So that is the reason for my vote.
In that case, would you vote to abstain or no? No, I'm just putting it out there.
Correct.
Like,
I'm going
feel
to abstain.
comfortable.
Yes,
Fair
I
enough.
will be abstaining.
That's okay. Kelly Lynn, on you.
Mrs. Tenney?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan?
Abstain.
Mrs.
Okay.
Ost?
Yes.
Fair enough.
I move to approve the gifts to the district from the Mokena PTA as presented.
Questions or concerns?
Just thank you to the PTA, even though they're not represented here. I appreciate it.
It was a very nice thank you. There's a lot of programs that are being supported by this, and that's very kind of them to support our kids. Love it. Questions or concerns? Hearing none, let's go.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ost?
Yes.
Mrs. Tony?
Yes.
I move to approve the 2025 tentative tax levy as presented.
By Anna. Questions or concerns?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just want to disclose that, we spoke about this earlier, but I'd be looking to see different scenarios on the reallocating some of the operations and maintenance allocation of the levy to the ed fund, knowing the budgetary deficit and, projected increase to salaries and benefits and all the other things that are going to hit our education fund next year. So,
Okay. Anyone else? Let's go.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe? Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan?
no.
Mrs. Ost?
Yes.
Mrs. Tony?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
I move to approve that the district submits for the 2026 ISB maintenance grant as presented.
This is being nice. I think she had it. Okay. Questions or concerns? Thank you to everyone that worked on this. Hearing no questions or concerns, let's go.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ost?
Yes.
Mrs. Tony?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Andreessen?
Yes.
I move to approve the resolution abating the working cash fund of the district as presented.
By Lisa. Julie and Lisa. Questions or concerns?
Yes.
You're up.
So I've spoken with about this in the past. So this is very concerning to me. And the reason is because, I've discussed this. We have between $4 and $5 million that are going into this O&M bucket of money that we have allocated. And basically what we're doing here is taking $190,000 out of our working cash fund, which is essentially representative of the reserves that we have because we're in a deficit in some of the other funds, and transferring $190,000 from our reserve into that fund that already has close to $5 million, 4.9 million or whatever it is. So the question is, why is that necessary? Why do we need $190,000 more than the $4.9 million we already have? That's my first question. And it's not really clear because, I've been given a list of projects, but also, we could just look at the projects we're doing and say, okay, well, that's got to wait till next year. Or, I've suggested in the past, we don't do the shed because, essentially, for all intents and purposes, the $190,000 is paying for the $180,000 shed. So if we were to postpone some of those projects, we could utilize this money in the education fund with the $800,000 deficit. I don't understand why we're prioritizing transferring money out of our reserves into the O&M fund that is already a significant part of our budget. And it's for, redoing the floors, getting a shed. If we're going to transfer it at all, let's transfer it to help offset the salaries and benefits and the real stuff in the classrooms. This money is getting transferred and there's no clear definitive reason why we need it in that O&M fund. And I mean, we shouldn't be transferring money out of our reserves without a very clear, exact reason. And so for that reason, I'm going to say no.
Do you have anything you'd like to share?
The working cash abatement into Fund 20 and into Fund 21 supports the projects that we've done this year and operations in Fund 20.
So, like I said, it's not, there's no exact, right? So we have $4.9 million that should be sufficient to support the projects and the budget. That's $4.9 million in 1 year that we have already allocated to that. That should be sufficient. And it would be sufficient if we weren't doing the shed. If we didn't do the shed, then we would have enough money to support the projects. But the shed is on the docket. That's $180,000. And now we need it from our savings.
So noted. Any other questions or concerns? Let's go.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Mrs. McMillan,
No.
Mrs. Ost,
Yes.
Mrs. Tani,
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski, Mr. Andreessen,
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe.
Any questions or concerns? We are delegated. Hearing none. The clerk will do a great job. Thank you for doing that this morning. Let's go.
Mrs. McMillan,
Yes.
Mrs. Ost, Mrs. Tani,
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski, Mr. Andreessen,
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe, Mr. Bush.
Yes.
Really will be great. Thank you. And would you like to give us an update regarding the finance committee meeting that we had?
Last week we met, we discussed quite a few things. Next meeting will be March 9th, which is a lot of things. A lot of things. We did discuss as a committee the, I guess, coming structure, now structure, whatever, however, the new structure though. Coming in January, there will be a Google form for the community members to be able to essentially apply to be the community members on the committee. And then every 2 years, when we have a new election and we theoretically reseat or newly seat the board members to be the committee chair people and everything, we will do the same thing with the committee. It could be people being reseated as well, but we will do the application process every 2 years when the new committee people are seated as well. Anything I'm missing? That's about it.
So I have a question. So I guess the first term in January wouldn't be a full 2-year term for the committee, for the
Correct.
new people. Okay. And in the Google form, did you already do that or that's to be developed?
Nope, it's going to come out in January.
Okay. Is there like certain criteria we're looking for, or like what is the selection process going to be? Will you discuss that before it happens, or did you already discuss
Nope,
that?
so we already did. It's going to be a basically simple form of asking who you are, what's like what you bring to the table, what kind of resources you bring or whatever, and why you want to be on it. And then we'll go from there and whittle it down, and the board president will then appoint the people.
So how do you decide one person? Like, what is the decision? You know, we got to be objective, right? And we should be transparent when we tell parents or whoever is going to be applying for this. How can we be transparent about the selection process? And I mean, obviously he's going to appoint, but how do we get from a pile of applications to decide who's going to be there?
Same way you would if you were hiring somebody to work for you. You go through, see what it is that they're going to bring, and make a decision then.
So do you have a criteria that you're looking for in a candidate? I mean, is this like this is like a job screening type of?
I guess in a way, yeah, but it's a finance committee, so somebody who can bring something to be part of that committee would probably be the front runner.
And is it a one person? Is Jim just making that, or?
It will have two community members.
No, I mean, is Jim deciding,
Yes, he appoints people.
so he would get the applications and he would by himself decide who's going to serve?
Yes, because he appoints people.
So that's it. And there's no written criteria of how, so we can't, I guess what I'm getting at is like, I just want to kind of demonstrate that we're being fair and objective, and the more we can disclose to people about that process rather than it be just completely subjective on one person, I think it would behoove us to do that. So I would hope that we could incorporate something that we could offer in advance before that selection is made. And same with all the other committees, right? So same goes with whatever, the parent, like, Amanda brought up special ed. How are we making sure that different, sectors of the community are representative, or represented in the committee? So, what are we looking for, and how are we going to select and offer it up so that it's not behind closed doors and, this is it, right? So thank you.
Just for a point of clarification, we did vet the process through our board attorney as far as committees.
So there will be something that we will
We
do.
vetted the process as far as the board president selects those members of the committee.
And so you're saying you're not planning on doing anything that I just suggested, that it's just going to be Jim gets a pile of resumes and he's going to decide, and there's not going to be criteria.
Well, the criteria is based on what Sam just shared. Why are you interested, and what's your background with finance?
Well, that's not really criteria. So that's what you're asking for, but what's goes into the decision on one person versus another? What if everybody has financial experience,
Sure.
So then how do you choose one over the other? Like, what does that go into? Like, is it, what is it? Right. So I'm just saying, I would like to be transparent with our public on what that process is. This is a board committee, and, it's not the board president committee, and it's not the chair of the committee's committee, right? It's a board committee. It's a board committee. It's what we have decided we are going to do and how we're going to sub out some of the work that we do. So I would like to make sure that we're transparent in the selection, because this is a really good opportunity for people to get involved. And there's a lot of people in our community that want to get involved. There's a lot of interested. I think you're going to get a lot of applications. And so I just want to be fair, right?
Sure.
And transparent. So that's what I'm going for. Thank you.
I submitted a memo. I don't have anything to add, only to point out that Press 120 came out. So it will be an information item for next month, right, Mr. Gurney? Thank you.
Julie, I missed that. I'm sorry. What is going to be information in December?
Press 120. It's a big one too. So make sure you take a look. And there is a webinar that took place on the 12th of this month. If you need the link to it, they're not always easy to find. Let one of us know. We both sat through it, and it was very helpful.
Quick fast. It'll be quick fast, I swear. I would like to say thank you, because we put Sam and Eric in charge of being part of the finance committee meeting, and Julie for being part of the policy committee to run those committees for us as a board. So I thank you and appreciate what you guys do.
I just had two, and I might steal a little bit of Terry's thunder here, but we are so excited for December 1st. We're going to be expanding from 8 routes to 10 routes. So we're very, very excited about that. We just can't thank enough everyone that's been putting the time in behind the scenes to make that happen. We'll be setting up multiple communications out the next couple weeks, and we want to be really, really transparent and clear when this shift is happening on December 1st. And then lastly, Kathy Arduino, Heather Green, Taylor Martin, the three of them, along with lots of other people, have been working on the Veterans Day process for 8 weeks. They reached out to me 8 weeks ago, and the three of them just did such an amazing job. And to see all the wonderful things happening over the course of 7 days was really, really impressive. So thank you to them.
I have
will make
one
quick
comment.
I got 1 second first. Yes, we have a lot of amazing people that worked on that, but this room right here was filled with a lot of veterans who have served their country, and they are able to come here and see their children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews. They saw all of them sing to them over in the gym, but they were able to be here. And I think that was absolutely amazing. And I love that our school district is supporting our veterans when it comes to that. So I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Yep.
Bob, thank you for your information report. Thank you for answering the questions. There were 31 questions submitted by board members this month, and I asked 25 of the 31. The administration answered all except a couple that were not action item questions, which I think will be answered before next month. And so thank you for doing that. And thank you for meeting with me on the legal bills. That was a last minute thing that was a concern of mine, and I appreciate your time on that. So thank you for that.
Kristen, you were on the spot a lot tonight. You shared a lot of good information. I know you had information report. Did you have any last minute things to add to it?
One of the things I just wanted to point out is that I did get a question from someone not in this room, but you may have the question about the U.S. News Best Schools Awards that we have shared. That last paragraph under number 2 in my report, one of the people that asked me, they're like, the data that I'm seeing on this website isn't aligned to the data I'm seeing on the report card presentation. And I thought that was a really good question. So the data that was pulled for this U.S. News, the ELA data was from the 21-22 school year, and then the math data was from the 22-23 school year. So that was like, if you remember our story back kind of a couple years ago. So we've seen some good growth since then. So if there is any confusion, that's why. So just to clarify that, I don't know. So I'll be excited to see in a couple years where we are, because, but it is. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that. Besides that, I really have nothing else to report except congratulations again. I included some pictures of the various staff members that have been sharing out at conferences on behalf of our district and really representing us so well in sharing the great things that we're doing in our classrooms with other educators. So that's really great to continue to see that grow, and our staff members being able to share what they're doing in our classrooms with others to help them grow as well. So those are my highlights. Yeah. Yep. And then I think Bob wanted to talk a little bit more about one section in my report as well too. So I'm going to let him.
And I actually asked Dr. Johnson to prompt me because I would forget, even though I have notes.
I made myself a note.
Thank you. And I have notes, but I still forgot. So I appreciate that. Part of Kristen's role is we've added communications, and she's got that within her information report. This week we had 2 social media posts that received a tremendous amount of positive feedback. And we had a couple comments that would be determined or be called hate speech. So we did talk to our board attorney. We deleted those comments and then reported those comments. That's all I kind of wanted to say about that. I wanted to let the board know. It was concerning, and we don't have the capacity to be watching all the comments all the time. So we'll continue to have to talk about this. But the vast majority of comments for years of Kristen doing this have been very, very positive. So Just wanted to share that.
I'd just like go through our staff shout out to Carrie Bellatier and her Bell Buddies. They did a poetry presentation that was just really sweet. She invited a bunch of us to go and attend, so you can see 3 very happy faces as they give their poetry presentation. Yeah, super exciting. The last item I have is about extended school year. I am very excited about us hosting extended school year here in Mokena this year. It's a great opportunity for our students to be on their home turf and know the rules and regulations and all the good things that come with Mokena. So we're excited to host ESY again this year. I think the last time we did it was 22. So I'm looking at you, Kristen, to for that year. I don't know why. So very excited about that opportunity. Thank you.
That's really good too, that you are saying it, that we know so early. I feel like every year it's like May, isn't it? Or am I wrong about that? Like,
There's a lot of background conversation because the different districts are doing different things in the summertime. So trying to figure out what that looks like. We were hoping to host last year, but with the fire panels and things like that, we weren't able to. So Frankfurt has kind of carried the local area schools for a while in hosting ESY, but they're working on a playground or something like that. So we're really excited to have it back in house.
Great, thank you.
I don't really have any last minute information. I was gonna talk about the going to 10 bus routes. Yay. We also, yeah, 2 things. Like one, the Mr. Gurney sent a email out earlier about Willow Crest Lane being repaired tomorrow morning. So we do have that going on. So there'll probably be some congestion on morning drop off only at MES, and we do expect it to be done by dismissal. So dismissal, all things go well, we should be good by dismissal. And then special thanks to Dr. Johnson for our transportation safety social media campaign. The transportation department was very appreciative. The summer projects that we talked about at finance are up on our website. The ASA is up on our website. I just put those up on our website. And speaking of what else is up, our shed is up. So if Mrs. O sent some pictures this morning as she did her walk by, and it got finished, mostly finished. There's like one spot where they ran out of material. They'll finish tomorrow morning. And then the concrete barrier construction will be back to finish the electrical work. It should be done by the end of, by after Thanksgiving. That's good news. And if you get a chance, it looks fantastic. And that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Andreessen, I have one quick comment. I'm disappointed that you didn't wear your birthday tiara. It is it is Dr. Shaw's birthday today, so happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I know it's on paper, but it's not a shout out unless we shout it out, right? So our Real Champion Fishing Award, I think, is becoming a hit, and this month's recipient is Nurse Therese. Thank you, Nurse Therese. She has done a fantastic job of identifying real fishing attempts and going out of her way to contact us after she's reporting them. You're doing great things, and we appreciate you staying vigilant. And also a big shout out to Ms. Thielberg from the kitchen department. She came through. We needed some ways of transporting Chromebook power supplies to the classrooms in case there's inclement weather days. And she donated 16 empty milk cartons for us. Yeah, to replace our fallen apart cardboard boxes that we had. So That is all I had for tonight's report. Thank you.
Well, there's just a couple of fun things to share on the finance part where, Mr. Englert says everything's looking good at this point. Mr. Romeo, he has told us that 16 families have signed up for the Thanksgiving family dinner that they're having on the 16th or December 12th. No, sorry. Whenever I didn't write down the date of this turkey sign up. When is it? Friday. Yes, it is this Friday because I couldn't come. Yeah. Okay. So 16 families, he said, which he was really excited about because that's just means that families are participating. December 12th, they're doing breakfast with Santa. And on December 17th or the 18th, he's not sure yet, but they're going to do the Secret Santa trip to Five Below, where they take the students to Five Below. They do some shopping for each other and get Secret Santa gifts, and then they'll exchange gifts. He said the kids loved it last year, and so wanted to do it again this year. At Pioneer Grove, Mrs. Port Lewis, she got this great program started where she's involving the kids every morning and afternoon doing announcements. And she said the kids are also included in this are the kids who cannot actually speak. They're on their AC devices and they're doing announcements through their AC devices, which is really, the kids get super excited about that. And it's very touching just to hear about that. And I'm so excited that Amy is doing all that for these kids. December 19th is their Winter Wonderland. She wants to do a talent show sometime in April or May, which would be a first time, for Pioneer Grove to do. And they're starting fundraisers. So I'll keep you guys updated with the fundraisers. And that's it.
On Sunday, the Mokena Lions Club is going to be going around town with a lot of help from Burcott's and a lot of help from a group of Lions to deliver about 25 families worth of Thanksgiving food, which is it's a fair amount of money and it's a good thing and it supports a lot of people in our community. And I'm glad that we can do that. And also, we have a group of cheerleaders that are going to be going to Charlotte, North Carolina to compete for a national championship in early December. And a bunch of them are students in their junior high, and I wish them the best of luck.
Did we skip? I feel like we skipped items for December agenda.
No, I said it. I also
Well,
said
when-
you're welcome
when
to email it to me later and we can add it.
Okay, but we could discuss it, right? Can we go back and discuss that? I didn't hear it.
We covered it and we moved on, and you are welcome to email things for next month.
I don't want
if
to
you'd like.
email. This is on the agenda, so I would like to discuss it. So for next month, one of the things that I forgot to mention, and I think we need to talk about, is the board policy committee that is called the Parent Teacher Advisory Committee. So this Parent Teacher Advisory Committee has been a topic of conversation multiple times with this board before your time, Bob. And we have gone through this a lot. And it was decided the last time, to my recollection, we could go back, that the board had delegated this as a superintendent's committee. But now I see it's on our website that it's a board committee, which is consistent with what I understood that it needed to be, Parent Teacher Advisory Committee. But the board has had no further conversation since the last time that we talked about it, which was probably over a year ago. And now there's a meeting set for December 9th, and we've not discussed it. So I don't know what this board committee is, what the we have not established anything as far as the board committee. So I think we need to talk about that and then incorporate also what board members are going to serve on that committee and how parents or community members, whatever, and teachers are going to be selected and have a conversation amongst the board. So can we add that to the agenda next month, please?
So by the time we have our first or our next board meeting, we will have already had the first meeting. So they're being emailed tomorrow, whether they were being asked to be part of the committee. We put a Google form out to the entire community, asking that they're interested. We also set up the parameters of 9 parents, along with 3 teachers. The administrative team are going to be there. We put it as I talked to our board attorney about this, and I spoke to him, and this is a superintendent committee. We're going to have it in open session, just like the finance committee, in case more than 2 board members choose to come and be part of the audience.
Okay, so we've not talked about any of this. This is all new information. So I'm trying to process the information as you just said it.
This was shared to the whole community. I sent the same thing to everybody.
Right, but I didn't know it was a board committee.
It's not a board committee. It's a superintendent committee that we're going to be
It's
having.
on our board, it's on our website. It's a board committee, and it's in our policy that it's a board committee. It's a board committee, and what we had done in the past was delegate it to be a superintendent's committee, but now it's back on our website that it's a board committee. So all of these things, like, I don't understand what's happening.
It's a superintendent committee that's going to be an open session,
So
just like the
open-
finance committee.
Okay, because it's on our board page on the website, and it's listed as a board committee. So it's an open meeting for the board members and the community to come to. And you're going to post the agenda just like the OMA,
Exactly. Yep.
everything.
There'll be a spot for public
So that
comment.
would be consistent with the board committee then. So that is consistent with the board committee. So that's great. I think that's great.
Sure.
I just didn't know any of this, so that's why I was asking. And then it was like on our board page on the website, and we hadn't had a conversation about it. So that's why I thought maybe we could add it to the agenda. But you're right, it's after the meeting, so
Right.
it's kind of was like, oh, okay. Anyway, we could catch up, and I'll plan to go to that. Thank you.
Jim, I have two, not agenda, for the good of Mokena. Yeah. 2 quick music things. Solo ensemble, we get to host again, so that's awesome. I thought that was, we did such a really good job last year. We get to host that again, and Parade of Lights on Saturday. We're all going to be downtown unless somebody jets back. So take a lot of pictures, whoever is able to go, and spam Kristen with them. So just those 2 things.
Few things to add. And they're not agenda items. So my 2 things to add is Santa is on his way and he's prepping really hard with Mokena Miracles. So Mokena Miracles is going to be hosting the Santa Secret Workshop on December 6th, 10 to 2. And Santa will be there for pictures from 11 till 12:30. So come and get your picture taken with Santa. And Wrapping Day is going to be December 21st, 9 until noon. So all are welcome to come wrap presents for the families at MES. Which one do you want? Both? Santa Secret Workshop, December 6th, 10 to 2, and then Wrapping Day, December 21st, 9 to 12. Come and wrap.
What is wrapping day? It's you bring your gifts in to be wrapped?
No. Wrapping Day is for the families who are getting presents from, or gifts from Mokena Miracles. And the community comes in and wraps those presents, and then the group takes the presents and delivers them to the families.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank
So
you
it's
for
group
that.
involvement for the community, by the community.
Oh, wow, nice. Okay, I didn't know. Thank you for telling me. I'll write down the date too. I didn't get a chance earlier to thank all the everybody for the Veterans Day things that we did as a district. It was, it really feels good to be teaching our kids about, being proud to be an American. It's really important, and you could feel it, you could feel it, you could feel it as soon as you walked in the door, and it felt really good. So I know a lot went into it, and I just really appreciate it, and I'm glad my kids are learning this. So thank you.
Okay, last thing I will say before we start going to closed session is happy Thanksgiving to all. Thank you, and enjoy the family time. And there we go. That being said, I would like to make a motion to go to closed session for matters of personnel. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, let's do a 10-minute break, 9:40. We will reconvene in S126. Thank you. And good night.